Shivvy, shivvy, shivvy. Shivvy. Hello.
Hello. And welcome to Jessie and BB Cave from We Can't Talk About That Right Now's special series of podcasts dedicated to our favourite show.
Succession special. We have many possible names for this spin-off series of our podcast, and we do also realise that this is going to definitely cull a lot of our
Alienate.
viewers and listeners. But if you have listened to this podcast for a while, you will know that we are dedicated fans of Succession, and we do talk about it quite frequently.
Yeah.
Mainly our love for
Roman.
Kieran Culkin.
This guy.
We hope there's a picture there. But we do love Kieran Culkin so much, and we love his character of Roman so much that we thought, why not?
Let's talk about him in the context of the show, in the context of the Roy family, and in the context of our hearts.
And why we love him so much, and the journey of Roman. And BB has her idea for the title of this episode.
Romulus's journey.
Romulus's journey, because as you will know, Logan likes to call Roman Romulus when he answers the phone to him.
Fascinating.
I also noticed, sorry to kind of immediately jump in, but I also noticed that, you know, the theme of Roman, sorry.
It's like an old friend.
Having a problem with his dick and not being able to have sex. I noticed that Logan really perpetuates that. You know, he calls him stuff like dickwad or something, and there's lots of references to Roman's dick.
Well, starting off strong. Yeah. Do you think it's strange that a father would make those kind of comments to his son that he's supposed to sort of, you know, uplift?
Well, I think this is probably, hopefully, sowing the seed for a storyline eventually, which explains Roman's problem sexually. There must be something that happened, you know, as a child or as a teenager that made him have these issues and insecurities about his dick.
Well, if his father is insulting him and then he's sexually attracted to someone who is basically a mother figure, like Jerry, then clearly something to do with families is working its way on him.
Yeah.
But let's not get into that yet.
No.
Let's talk about episode 1 of series 3. We're not going to recap seasons 1 and 2 for our listeners or viewers.
Because if you haven't watched them,
Get on it. You got a fun weekend ahead. I'm jealous. But this is for season 3. Getting on board. Let's start with episode 1.
so it opens with a recap.
Lots of planes, trains, automobiles.
Action stations.
So
So it opens with almost Kendall trying to levitate. He's in the bathroom as if he thinks he's flying with the rush of adrenaline after stabbing his father and his family in the back at the press conference. And then they're in a car. They're all in motion, the scenes, aren't
Exactly. I feel like the first episode was really, really good at setting up an atmosphere of, if we stop for even 1 second, we're going to take in the magnitude of what has happened. So everyone is just moving forward. And it's fascinating that it's only at the end of the episode when Logan steps out of the hotel and he's still for the first time. That's when I think you really see him acknowledging what's happened.
Totally. I didn't actually think about that. But I also really felt the desperation of each character and what their stakes were. What they were all fighting for a place and worried about their survival.
Absolutely.
So straight away from getting in that car with Kendall and Greg and Christina. No, what's her name? What's the PR's woman?
The PR woman.
Who's actually a bigger part than she seems when you first watch her.
Yeah, because she has such a nice, sensible sort of atmosphere and energy that you don't she's there all the time.
We should know her name.
She's played by an actress called Dagmara.
Oh.
And she what's the character's name? My goodness.
Well, we can put it up here.
Yeah.
But when she gets out the car and then she ends up going back to the Roys.
Carolina.
Good old Carolina.
Who changed her hair colour.
Yes, she was. Wasn't she blonde?
She was blonde in the first season, yeah.
Yeah.
She looks nice as a brunette.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Anyway, so I really felt for her in the first 5 minutes, and Greg just being, when he's like, he's like, oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. He has no idea what's going on.
Nicholas Braun has kind of reached his like peak power. He's just using his sort of befuddlement and his, eccentric voice just to maximum effect. I think clearly the producers have seen how much of a hype there is around his character, and they've been able to execute that very, very well. He's not a scene stealer, I would say, because I feel like you could argue that every actor in Succession is a scene stealer, but they prominently feature Cousin Greg in a way that they wouldn't have done had the actor not been so charismatic and so loved by everyone on the outside.
Totally. My favourite line within the first 5 minutes is when Roman says, when they're boarding, they're trying to work out where they're going to go on all of these planes, and Roman looks at Logan and says, Dad, do you want me to come with you? And Logan says, do you want to suck my dick?
I know.
And then Roman, says the father to his son as he is under a sexual allegation.
Yeah.
So good.
I know. I feel like Kieran really nabs the best lines. But something that's interesting that I found out from Horatio recently is that, the storyline of Roman and Jerry. That was something that was started as an improvisation by Kieran Culkin and the actress who plays Jerry.
Seriously?
Because they just got along super well, and they would add in a couple of lines to the end of scenes. And it just started from a playful, silly idea, and then they just started to keep it in.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it is incredible. And you do kind of see that from Roman, how he's some of the times I do think that's not scripted.
Absolutely.
For instance, how with his movements and his body, he sometimes does really strange things. Like when he's at Kendall's flat, when all of the siblings turn up. I don't know if that's an episode 2, actually.
That's an episode 2.
Oh, right. But he does some really strange things, and you're just like, there's no way that was in the moment he did that.
I feel like
as an actor,
definitely.
you just kind of get that vibe.
Yeah. I feel like he uses every part of his face so well. Even his eyelids. He can act with his eyelids. He does this thing where he kind of half closes them to sort of look ironic. And I've never noticed that with another performance before. And I just think it's magnificent.
Did you notice in the first episode that there was this energy between all of the family members of just like you're wading through shit? Like the worst thing has happened. Their lives are, temporarily suspended.
Yeah.
And they all just seem... First of all, you mentioned that they're in their same clothes as they were.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a full... They've now been up for hours and hours and hours. They just seem fucking exhausted and broken.
And slightly feral as well. And the sort of covert phone calls from Kendall and the father trying to... Shivy. And everyone trying to work out where everyone is. The lack of trust in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And even like the lack of intimacy between, say, Tom and Shiv and everything like that. It really kind of makes you feel very, very tense for the whole episode. Which is why then episode 2, which is so kind of cheeky and funny, was such a sort of a breath of fresh air. I will just say I remember this one moment from episode 1 that I thought was so brilliant, is the relationship between Kendall and his ex-wife. Fascinating. Where they're sort of grinning with coyness, but at the same time you can tell that she sort of hates him.
No, I didn't think it was coyness. I think that she absolutely loathes him.
Of course. But at the same time, she understands and respects his position and clearly the life that he's provided for her. So she had like a hostess face on. But then when Kendall's new girlfriend turns up, Cousin Greg nicks the old bottle of wine from her godfather, and then Kendall's new girlfriend comes in with the wine glasses, and Rava is clearly really upset by this sort of...
Are you sure that's not episode 2?
No, this is in episode 1. Because Rava isn't in episode 2. Anyway, they drink the wine that they're not supposed to drink, and it's a really awkward moment between everyone, and then the two women leave, and Kendall's response to that situation, rather than feeling apologetic, is looking at Cousin Greg and saying... We know some fucking amazing women, don't we, dude?
Yeah, he's gone. He just lost it.
It's like he just is so out of touch in a way that he wasn't before. Like he's sort of on a different spiritual plane now.
And he has found a woman who is enabling him.
Absolutely.
So when she's like, are you the king of the world? Are you actually the king of the world or something?
It was so sexual.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that made me feel uncomfortable.
Whereas Rava is so straight with him.
Exactly.
So when he says, she's like, so you finally did it. And he's like, well, it was in the mail. And she's like, well, yeah, I guess it was in the mail. But there's this kind of feeling of, yeah, it's over.
She's slightly disgusted by him. Yeah. You can tell.
Okay, my favorite moment was what I thought a really significant moment was when they haven't boarded a plane yet. They haven't decided where they're going to go, and Logan loses his phone. Mm-hmm. And there's a moment where Shiv, Kieran, Connor are like, "Oh, let's help Dad find his phone," and it's just a moment of, this guy is old. He's an old man, and he's in this serious situation. He's deluded like Kendall is deluded. He still thinks he can just take a step back and then he'll come back in as the leader.
Exactly.
You know, but he is actually an old man and he's at the end of his game.
Mm-hmm. And the show is so quick to remind you whenever you're sort of getting caught up in the sweeping drama and the stakes. The next scene will remind you how human everyone is, how fragile everyone is. So you're constantly like feeling so torn between these two different ideals. Are they these people to sort of uphold as gods, or are they just these fragile losers?
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on to episode 2? Because
I just want to have a moment of when is it in episode 1 where Shiv says to her dad as well, you know, I just want you safe. I just want you safe.
Yes.
There's a moment of tenderness between Logan and all of the children at some point in the episode, apart from obviously Kendall. And yeah, you really feel the fragility of Logan as an old man.
Absolutely. I think that in episode 2, the major takeaway I would have is that it showed all of the siblings, all of the children, regressing to an adolescent state. So I just think it was so genius to have them all sort of crouching on the bed, shoes off, on Kendall's daughter's bed in her bedroom with the fairy lights and the vanity mirror. And it kind of seemed like the sort of chat that a group of siblings would have late at night about like a plan about like sneaking out of their parents' house or something like that. There was something so innocent about it. And they all made fun of each other and spoke to each other in ways that reminded me of us talking when we were young.
Yeah, because there was a warmth when Shiv arrived first and then Roman arrived, and they all were smiling at each other. And I just found that so familiar with, you know, being part of a family that even with Alfie, I find sometimes like even when you're so close with someone and you love someone so much, you can't help but smile even in the darkest moments, because they make you in some twisted way. And when Roman turns up with cinnamon buns for Kendall, obviously he's done that as a joke, but at the same time he would have got the cinnamon buns, and he did get them for his brother, and he brought them over. And it's just amazing how even in these moments there's still some connection,
because you can't stay mad at a sibling for long. It's like when we've had a giant fight, one of my favorite feelings in the world is waiting for how many seconds is it going to take for one of us to smile at each other and sort of break the tension or like crack the ice. Because I think that with friends or with colleagues or professionals or strangers, obviously you can hold a grudge for a really, really long time. But with siblings, there is something there that just makes it almost impossible to stay angry forever. And that's what the episode of In the Bedroom showed, where they were genuinely considering his proposal.
Yes, but also they were seconds away from saying something they probably said 100 times before to the other siblings. So when Shiv jokes in a mean way to Roman about his dick or something like, you've got sexual issues, it was out of place, and Connor even steps in to defend Roman, which I thought was actually really sweet. And then Roman acts. He kind of storms off and then comes back in a few minutes later and makes out he just went to the toilet. And you can see that this kind of dynamic and fight would have happened so many times over the years. And the thing is, when you never ever really change. People don't change. You are essentially the same person as you were when you were a child, and your flaws are the same. Your brilliant points are probably the same. And So it's just so funny to see them in this dire situation, such high stakes, and yet they're still quibbling about the same things that they probably did when they were teenagers.
Exactly. And the insecurity of Roman coming back in and pretending that he had just gone to the bathroom, I just recognised that so much in, having fights with boys where they can't quite handle their own emotions. And that's what's scary about Shiv, really.
Yeah.
Because she's a girl and because she's the youngest.
Is she the youngest?
Yeah. It goes, obviously, Connor and then Kendall, then Roman, then Shiv.
I thought Roman was the youngest.
No, they're supposed to be around the actors' ages.
Right.
But I feel like...
it was a horrifying moment when I realised that I am older than Shiv. I'm older than her.
But the thing is, she dresses very maturely. She dresses in a lot of turtlenecks and a lot of cream tones.
Look a bit older in this series.
Necessarily. Yeah, they kind of have to.
Well, in last series, they chopped her hair off.
Oh, yeah. I liked it when she had the long hair.
Don't chop your hair off.
She's got that lovely asymmetrical bob. I've never seen anyone pull it off so well.
Yeah, but quite often asymmetrical bobs aren't intentional.
I think that Shiv has a deep well of sadness inside of her, as is very succinctly put by Kendall at the beginning of the episode, saying, "You're not a good person. I'm the real you. You wish you could be doing what I'm doing." I think Shiv is so sad because she's obviously made a lot of blunders in her professional and personal life. And I don't think that she's happy with Tom. And I don't think that she's happy in her job. And she's not happy that she's never worked at Waystar. But mostly she's sad because she knows that she's just as bad as Logan is deep down.
And when Kendall says to her, "You're angry with yourself," she her face says, "Yeah, I absolutely am."
Yeah.
And I also noticed that Logan... Now that you mentioned that she's the youngest, it doesn't make so much sense. But when Logan is sitting there kind of playing with his food and spends kind of half the episode just saying, "Where is she?
Yes.
Where is she?" It's like a teenager waiting for your teenager daughter to come home.
Exactly.
And I really, really felt that.
You could see what he would have been like when she was... just getting into that phase in her adolescence when she would probably go out and go on dates with boys and stuff. You could just suddenly see him worrying about her because she is special to him. And I think she resents that. She's only special to him because he can see that she has the same ruthlessness and lack of kindness that he does. And the reason why he doesn't respect Roman is because I think that Logan knows deep down that Roman is actually a good person.
Roman is most definitely the loyal son.
He cares about what's going on with the father. And Shiv decides not to join up with Kendall out of pride. Roman decides not to join up with Kendall purely because he couldn't hurt the dad. When he says, "I'm worried it might actually kill him," that's so genuine in that moment. And what reason does he have to be so loyal to him?
His phone call to Logan saying, I really want this, but I also know that I'm not ready. I know that you think I'm not ready, but I want you to know that I want it. He kept repeating that because he wanted to prove to his dad that he's ambitious, he's got what it takes, he thinks he can do it. He thinks I can, I think I can do it. I think I can do it.
But Logan will never respect him.
And then that moment when he gets off the phone, when Logan hands up the phone after that heartbreaking outpour from Roman, and Logan just says, "Roman's out."
I know. It just shows the difference in their character. Roman is just made of something better and more pure, which is probably why he has such a sexual dysfunction, because if the world that you're in is evil, but your soul is pure, maybe the only way that can come out is in some fucked up dick thing.
So what do you think Roman's tactic is? Because his alliance with Jerry, and Jerry's, when she's taking a photo of her name on the news.
Such a nice detail.
Such a nice detail.
Such a nice detail.
And
well done, writers.
When Roman comes in and says, you're taking a photo for your whatever. Don't talk about my daughters or something. And then they have this moment where she says, actually, I was just going to involve you in a couple of phone calls, and he really tries to be businesslike and say, we do this together. This is my plan. It's a good one. So what do you think his tactic is with going to see Kendall?
I think he was reaching out to Kendall as a brother. And I think that Shiv was there for herself. So like what I said before about Roman being more virtuous, I think that Roman was genuinely maybe checking in to see how Kendall was doing because he knows that Kendall is a manic addict who can't really control himself. And there's just something about his energy that by the time he actually decided that he wasn't going to work with Kendall, to me said he knew that all along.
Yeah.
Shiv didn't though.
Yes,
Shiv absolutely was teetering on the brink. She is so power drunk for the whole episode. It's almost like the failure of not being able to get the lawyer woman, Lisa Harvey. Shiv can't cope with this feeling of failure within herself. So she's almost like drunkenly walking over to Kendall's so that she can try and prove herself.
I think it was the donuts. When she saw those donuts from Logan, I think that was the moment she decided that she was out. And then when she said later to Logan, what was it? Why did you send the donuts, Dad? I think it was literally that moment. And when Roman says to her, when Roman says to Kendall, I'm only here to check up on Shiv, that seems genuine.
Yes, exactly. That seems genuine too. That does seem genuine too.
And then we just have to talk about Tom and Shiv, because she's on the phone to him and she lies. She doesn't tell him that she's at Kendall's, basically, working out what she's going to do.
The formality of their phone calls as well.
But when she's like, love you, and he doesn't reply, and she was like, well, do you love me too?
And he says, why do you want to know?
Yeah. And then they have this beautiful line where he says, well, yes, I guess I do. And, it's good to know that we don't have an unbalanced love portfolio.
Exactly.
Isn't that such a great line?
It was a beautiful line.
I feel really sorry for him, and I really hope that his part blossoms a bit more, because in the first 2 episodes he hasn't really had that much to do. Yes,
but one very significant scene is his phone call to Greg in this episode, where he threatens Greg and says, you need to crawl up inside an animal carcass, that's the only way that you're going to be able to help yourself. And he shouts at him and he says such wild things before saying something really, really logical. It kind of made me think maybe Tom's genuine love for Shiv, as it dwindles because he realizes that she's never going to truly love him or respect him, and she was about to throw him under the bus on the boat in season 2, I think that he's replacing his genuine love for Shiv with a meanness and a coldness, and then he takes that out on people like Greg. Because I think at the beginning of the series, like, Tom's always been a bit of a dick. Played so well by Matthew McFadden.
Yeah.
One of our own.
What
an amazing role for him. Thank God. Honestly, thank God.
Lucky.
What a lucky man, and how lucky a way to watch that performance. But I think that he started off slightly sweeter, and I think he's become worse because he's let himself be corrupted by not being loved.
Yeah, totally. But I think each character is either a bully or being bullied. I don't think anyone is free.
Or a mixture of both. Or a mixture of both. Everyone has got somebody chasing them, but they're also chasing someone else.
Yeah, but the moment with Tom and Shiv that really, after they have this moment at the airport in episode 1 where they do that awkward blow kiss.
And she drops the kiss the second that she is walking away.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought she was just kind of like dissolving it. I didn't think that she was actually dropping it. But then
he blew the kiss, she picked it up, and then the second that she wasn't facing him anymore, she dropped her hand.
What a bitch.
Yeah.
But on the plane, when Logan, so Tom is with Logan and they're discussing, who's going to be the next, successor or whatever. Tom then goes to the toilet, rings Shiv, and there's that moment of almost passion on the phone where he's like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And she's like, you go get him, baby. You go. Yeah, of course I want it. And that passion shows much of their relationship. The foundation of it is ambition.
Exactly. I feel like that's the only real connection that they have, is that they both want power.
Yeah.
And that they both use each other to try and leverage it for themselves.
And crucially, they're better off together.
Definitely. They're going to stay together for the show. They'll probably have a breakup, I reckon, mid-season.
No, I think they're going to have like a fuck fest. I think they're going to get like passionate.
Okay, I feel like we've done a really good recap now of our favourite things and like the general themes of the episode. Now, let's do some predictions for what we think is going to happen in the series, and also maybe what some characters, what their true motivations are. For example, I've written down here, Kendall, at the end when all of the siblings were leaving, and he was standing there, and something about his posture, and you can just tell that this guy's a method actor, like, he's in that world. He is in that scene.
Straight back all the time.
I mean, I think it's so fascinating as well because we listened to that Mark Maron podcast with Kieran Culkin. Love Kieran. To know that, what's his name? Jeremy Renner, the guy who plays Kendall? I think it is.
No. Jeremy Strong? No, that's a different actor.
Jeremy Renner's the guy from the Newborn.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner's the guy from the Newborn films. Okay.
We should know his name.
Ignore me. God, we are so unprofessional.
He's Kendall. He's
Kendall.
just Kendall.
Kendall, you can tell he's a method actor because of the way he acts, but you can also tell that Roman is the opposite of
Yeah.
that. And it works. Like, I feel like in no other show or no other context would you get two such different schools of acting working so well together. But because that is also their characters, it just works so well in the scene. But there was something about the way he was standing with his belly sort of out and his shoulders slumped as he called Shiv, basically said, you know, it's just your teats, something about your teats.
It was horrible.
And it was so nasty, but so childlike.
Yeah.
And you could just see that he was a child throwing his toys out of the pram and just wanted to be liked, just wanted to be played with by his siblings.
He is nasty.
He's worse. He's worse than Logan.
His lawyer, I'm really sorry, but I just got to go outside and hug my kids. And then he goes out and meets fucking Stewie.
Absolutely fascinating.
I
hate him. That actor does it so well.
Yeah.
So hateable.
Another side point, I like how in this series, I don't remember it in the last one so much, but they really like a long back shot, have a big wide and have every actor involved in the background. And I just felt for some of the actors.
You know that they've been waiting around there all day. You know that was 2 days where they came in and they were told, you're not going to be saying a single thing today. Your features aren't going to be in focus, but you do need to be in the background of this shot for 12 hours standing up. Thank you.
I just thought it was also so funny and such a great idea. The fact that Greg was getting advice from a law student.
Oh my God.
Greg, I'm only in my first term.
But also, what's so fascinating is that the show should make you raise some questions, but because the world building is so good, you don't really think about it. But the fact is, why is Connor so much older than the other siblings?
Because
why
he's
is
not
he
the
so
same
dumb?
mum. Not the same mum.
Surely, given the same, like he has a different energy to him.
No.
But I don't feel like they've ever explicitly
No, we
said
never
that
meet
he had a
his
different mum.
No, they do. They
Really?
do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but why is he so dumb? Why is he so dumb?
I don't think he's dumb. I think he's just actually quite, straightforward. And in the car, oh my God, in the car where Logan is, suddenly backtracking and having to apologize to everybody.
Yeah.
And he's saying, that the stuff I said to you on the boat, that was harsh and you're my number one. And then he gets off the phone, he says to his girlfriend,
number one.
Number one. But he means number one child. He is the number one child. He was the firstborn. That's what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
My also favorite thing is my prediction anyway with Jerry. I think Jerry's going to backstab
Roman.
And I think Jerry and Frank will team up. I think Frank, they're starting to kind of like sprinkle little hints that Frank has more going on. I think Frank's going to have a good storyline.
Well, also the fact that they ended the episode on the shot in the car of Logan telling Shiv, who is sort of cowering away from Logan, doesn't want to acknowledge him, didn't go out to hug him in the car because she feels so bad about the fact that she hasn't joined up with Kendall because she's more similar to Logan. When he says that, you're actually going to be the one that's going to take the throne, but you're going to be wearing a biohazard suit called Jerry Holwell or whatever her second name is.
Yes.
And then they close on the shot of Jerry getting into the car sort of sweetly and innocently with Roman. I reckon that you're right. That betrayal to Jerry will result in her turning on Roman, the only innocent one out of them.
I know, and I can just feel Roman is going to get crushed.
He's going to get crushed. And when Kendall said he was going to send me to jail, he would have done that to you too, Roman. Maybe that's where the series is heading. Maybe Roman's going to end up in jail.
Oh my God, no.
I think so.
I think Roman and Jerry will fuck. I think they will actually have quite a sweet romance, and I think Jerry will then obliterate him.
I think that's such a good point. Oh my God, and it will be the first time that he's had a proper, healthy, romantic, sexual experience. And then the next thing that's going to happen, he's going to get stabbed in the back.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately for Kendall, I think his addiction is going to get the better of him. And I think that woman is going to fuck him up.
Definitely. And given that she's the daughter of the guy in the proxy battle.
And they were in the recap.
They were in the recap. You're not in a recap unless you're coming back around for round 2.
The whole family were in.
It actually kind of annoys me sometimes when they include a shot from like a really early season or a really early episode in the recap, and it's like, oh, I guess his ex-wife is coming back in then. Yeah, sometimes you don't want a spoiler.
Yeah.
But
and I think that
I
think that Kendall will self-sabotage.
Kendall will self-sabotage, Roman will be crushed, and Shiv will end up powerful but completely alone because she realises that this isn't what she wanted. She wanted to be good, but she can't be good.
Mm-hmm. And I think Greg will have some form of
redemption.
And I think actually the character, I was really happy that Logan's brother was featured more. He had some amazing lines as well.
Mm-hmm. He said, "You're a self-regarding Pompidou."
Popinjay. So good. Yeah, I think I think he will rise a little bit in this series.
I reckon so.
And I think he'll take Greg. Yeah, I think he's
a moral
character, and I think he's going to take Greg with him.
But it's an interesting example of a moral character where he's moral in the context of these abhorrent people. But the fact is, he's still a billionaire who's like completely like got to stick up his ass, and he probably doesn't help anyone, but he just pins all of his life failures onto his brother. And
the other thing that I thought was quite startling was when Kendall said, "I feel cleansed." And you saw Shiv's face and Roman's face. They looked quite scared of him. I think Kendall is going to do something bad.
I think ever since the car crash at the end of season 1, is it end of season 1?
Yeah.
I feel like not only, I mean, we all know, we shouldn't say it, but we all know we're waiting with bated breath for Logan to bring that up. Yeah. Logan is going to use his cover-up of Kendall's sort of manslaughter at some point in this series. We're all waiting for it, and it's very exciting, and I'm like, I'm very excited about it.
It was staggering that in the first episode, in the car, within the first 5 minutes of the series, he jokes about it.
Yeah, he jokes about, maybe I have.
And then he goes on, when they said about OJ, and are they saying juice is loose? Are they referring to OJ?
Maybe.
Juice is loose, but then juice is loose, like losing juice. Logan says that. It's like a theme.
I think that
O.J. Simpson might star in episode 3. 4.
It's interesting. 3? It is interesting to see the way that Kendall has taken the opposite path from cowering away from what he's done. He has crossed that threshold now. He's in the underworld. He probably doesn't even feel bad about it anymore. I think that there was a moment where he could have changed for good, for better. And had he actually decided to go to jail and not stab his father in the back, that would have been just, because that would have been punishment for what he did. But he's now crossed over that threshold. He's gone full metal evil.
And he's alone. And it just is symbolic of what is life without human connection and
people holding you accountable for being bad. Logan basically let him off the hook. He did something so abhorrently awful, probably worse than Logan has ever done. I can't imagine that Logan would let someone be killed in that awful way. But Logan, in some sort of blind love for his children, or maybe for himself because they're images of himself, decides to let Kendall off the hook and get him out of trouble. And that he's created a monster. That is who Kendall is. Kendall is a monster created by his father.
Yes, but I think that Logan doesn't love his children. I don't think he actually loves his children. I think he's so fucked up from his own childhood that he actually hates them.
Yeah.
And so
because
he
they have
isn't
more
saving Kendall by protecting him from going to jail in that moment with the cover-up. He was saving himself because he knows that whatever happens, his kids have now fucked him up. So I think he hates them. I don't see any love there whatsoever. And when he says stuff like Romulus and, Khan, you're my number one, or Shiv, whatever, calls Shiv like her nicknames.
Pinky.
I don't see a shred of love.
And when Marsha says, an amazing entrance to the episode.
Oh my God, Marsha.
When she says, those fucking kids of yours.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then goes and massages him after saying, I want everything, to the lawyer. And then you see the long shot of her going and massaging his shoulders.
I know.
And realizing she's going to get to his dick and she's in it for the money.
Oh, yeah. She's going to get to his dick.
Well, no, that's what she's going to do. She's going to massage him. She's going to move, she's going to
They're
play
all
him.
Seductresses. They all know how to manipulate each other's emotions. And do you know what, Jessie? I can't wait for episode 3. Can you? Can you?
I'm just so happy it's come back, honestly.
I know. Because the thing is, Love Island did fill a certain void in my heart. And now, do you know what? Succession is coming and filled it right back up with cement. You can walk straight over it.
It's just such good quality. I think the writing has really stepped up.
Well, it's just been so wonderfully consistent.
But just the amazing security of having a long-running series is that the writers can flourish. They can add so much depth to characters. The actors can add stuff, with their improvisation. And that's why it's so unfair that so many series just don't get a second, third series, because it just makes such a difference.
Or original series aren't made in favour of a remake of something else. Succession is the perfect example of why you should take a risk with new storytelling.
Totally.
And Horatio suggested this to me yesterday when we were watching, but how incredible would it be if we got a cameo from executive producer Will Ferrell at some point in the show?
Yeah.
I mean, they got to do it at some point.
But to be honest, there are about 30 executive producers on this. There are so many. I don't reckon he's even watched it.
No. I mean, he's been involved. He's been on the title sequence since the pilot.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. You
Maybe.
never know. I want to know. I've listened to writers who've written on it. They've Georgia Pritchard. She wrote on it, and she was on Adam Buxton podcast, and she's really involved. Lucy Preble. I mean, there's so many writers involved and so many execs involved. It would be so nice to know, the ins and outs. Maybe we'll find out.
And obviously, we're assuming that this is still set. I mean, given that they're all wearing the same clothes as they were at the end of season 2, this is set in 2019, 20? And in a world where coronavirus hasn't happened.
I don't know.
I think we're going to have to wait and see on that one, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it is pre-COVID. How annoying for the actors to be in the same costume. Can't gain any weight, can you?
No, you can't gain any weight, and you have to be so careful about not spilling anything on it.
Yeah, but they probably have loads of doubles. But I would hate that. To film something 2 years later and to be in the same size trousers. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you. Like, it's been the pandemic. What the fuck else do you think I've been doing?
It's like a fucking reality check first day.
Exactly.
Just to see that you can't
You're like,
even get over your calf.
Oh wow, I was happy once. Okay, that's enough now.
That's enough for now.
That's enough now.
We,
Signing off.
We hope to do our normal podcast where we talk about, not Succession stuff, but
Not a little bit about Succession sometimes, but this is now we can just pour all of our Succession plays into one place.
Our passion.
And then skedaddle out there and get back to normal programming.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Please support Roman.
We're going full fucking beast.
Action stations.
My favourite line from episode 2 was when Connor was pulling up to the kids, the kids' sleepover sort of gossip session they're having in the bedroom. And then Roman says, I thought I heard a clown car pulling up.
My favourite line was when Logan says to Carl, if your hands are clean, it's only because your whorehouse does manicures.
Bye.
Such a good line.
Bye.